Hey guys, welcome to JasonWhiskyWise with me, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 26, where we're going to review the Balvenie 16 Triple Cask, which I'll probably show you guys up on screen there. If you can't read that, I'll put a little panel over here and try to warp in a bottle over there. So, to begin with the review, I'm going to pour myself a little dram. I've already poured myself a little bit, but this is like take 3, so got to open the bottle without struggling this time, and we'll pour ourselves a little bit more of this dram. I'm going to save a little bit for my friends who want to try out this one for themselves. Now, the Balvenie Triple Cask range is pretty much Balvenie's travel retail sort of introduction of whiskies. They did have before the Portwood and a couple other whiskies, but I believe it was back in 2013 they decided to bring out a range just for travel retail. And that started off with a 12, now a 16, and then a 25 as well, which I'll review in the next video. And if you did miss my last video, it did include the 12-year-old. So I'll leave a link, hopefully there or somewhere in that top corner, to that video. So, the Triple Cask range, and I'll explain what is a Triple Cask if you don't know. Triple Cask is where they take 3 different casks, being Oloroso sherry butts, first fill bourbon, and the traditional whiskey cask. They mature each whiskey for a minimum year of what it is on the bottle, being 16 in this case. And so after 16 years, they take all 3 casks, empty the content into a massive marrying tun, and then that will be then left to let all the flavors combine and interlink with one another for around about 6 months before being bottled, and you get the pretty much liquid gold that is in these bottles. So that's the story behind the Triple Cask range. Nothing is finished in these whiskies, they're all matured for that period of time. So let's get into my review style structure without waffling on. If you haven't checked out my blog, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description. Be sure to check out my blog. Just click the link, take you straight to my blog. Anything I do, taste or review, it will be there first, and then the video will follow on YouTube. So, to begin my review style structure, this whiskey is aged for 16 years minimum. The ABV of this whiskey is bottled at 40%. The cask selection they do use is the Oloroso sherry butt, first fill bourbon barrels, and traditional whiskey casks. Now, the distillery is the Balvenie distillery, and it is the parent company is William Grant & Sons, and the region for this one is in Speyside in Scotland. So you'll see a little map over there. So a lot of whiskey comes from that region over there. Now this bottle is priced, and this is the kind of interesting one because I think the actual bottle when I last saw it in travel retail was around about 75 or 79 pounds. And one of my friends recently told me it's gone up to around about 84 pounds for the 70 CL. So it's around about up there with around about mid-80s, I'd say. And in terms of exclusivity, yes, it is solely travel retail exclusive, with the exception of Master Malt having the drams. You can't actually buy the bottle of Master Malt, you can only buy drams. So that's kind of interesting. In terms of caramel colouring, yes, it does have caramel colouring. The whole Triple Cask range does include caramel colour, which I think is, kind of a downside. But anyway, in that note, that means I won't pretty much be going through and through with the colour, but in terms of my notes that I've written before, I gave it, say, like a burnt amber. It's a little bit darker than the 12-year-old, so you can definitely tell that richness before they added the E150 caramel colour. So let's now get into the assessment of this whiskey and begin by nosing the whiskey. So, into the nose. So to begin nosing this whiskey, this is so much more lighter on the nose. You're getting definitely those rich, dry fruits. It's like literally taking a fruitcake mix, sticking it up to your nose and picking out all those different flavors. I'm picking out raisins, picking out plums, a little bit of sultanas in there, maybe a bit of dates as well. I'm going to have a second nosing. There's definitely a lot going on here. I'm also getting a citrus note. It's quite rich. Mortal is like a blood orange. It's very juicy in its character. A lot of vanilla. It's soaked in vanilla. Probably like opening a fresh vanilla pod. That's more or less how the nose is. Literally strong vanilla. And there is a mellow spice right on the ending, but this is more towards a little bit like a nutmeg and maybe a dash of cinnamon. Yeah, possibly like a little dash of cinnamon. More nutmeg is more present in this one's nose. So anyway, let's move now onto the palate. So into the palate, the texture of this whiskey is so much more different from the 12-year-old. Starts off quite light and develops into a much more creamier, richer texture on the palate. it's very, very rich. It's almost like having a warm fruitcake, and you get the fruity characters as well there. It's like having a warm fruitcake and just pouring over vanilla cream right over that and just taking a spoonful of them both and getting all those flavors working themselves onto the palate. So juicy in character, but so rich. And it's almost like those spices are still there. You've got those nutmeg and you just grate it a little bit over the top and then just throw a little sprinkle of cinnamon powder. All so well combined and so balanced. This is just incredible. I'm going to have a second tasting, see if there's anything else. But this is just so enjoyable. Wow. Wow. I'm getting that orange peel towards the end, giving it a slight bitter character. A little bit of like what you call the pip inside. And then a little bit of a dry, slight spiced oat character towards the back of the palate. But so well balanced with the harmony of flavors. It's just so wow. So anyway, let's finally assess the finish and then I'll give my overall comments on this whiskey. But I am absolutely loving it. I'm going to have to buy a big bottle of this one because just so good. Anyway, into the finish next. So, my overall comments on the finish of this whiskey. It sort of has a very nice coated feeling all around the palate. A bit much better than the 12. Very waxy. Citrus notes all around. This is like you've just had eaten orange freshly. Really giving us a nice finish. It's actually got more sort of bold finish. So I'd say more towards a medium long finish. But so juicy in character. A little light cinnamon over there. But so juicy. It's like literally the flavors are ongoing and it just keeps developing with little flavor explosions all over my palate. Really great whiskey. I actually want more. So in terms of my overall comments on this whiskey, I'm going to put that to a side for a second. I've got to give my rating first. And wow. Okay, so I'm going to give this as my rating. I was going to give it a little bit higher, but then I just now put into consideration the price point. But then I can't really complain too much. Hopefully you guys can see that. That is a 91 out of 100. The reason I've given this is definitely a step up from the 12-year-old, but I'm really looking forward now to the next, the 25-year-old, which I'll be reviewing next. But such a nice creamy character. The way the fruits are just so well balanced, just works so well with the spice aspects, not too overpowering. Just keeps giving this whiskey. And only reason I don't want to give it higher is because of the price point of view and the fact that it's travel exclusive. So every time you're going through an airport, or if you're traveling via boats or cruise, you will find it hopefully in those shops. But being around about £85, I was thinking that could be conceived as a little bit too high for a 16-year-old whiskey. But then again, if you compare it, I believe, to the 17 Double, which is around about £92 or £95 in London, that is actually cheaper. So it's like a mixed argument over there. So that's sort of given me that little bit of uncertainty. But at the same time, I'm really looking forward now to moving on to the next one, which is the 25. So overall, I really love this whiskey. I would personally buy a full bottle of this next time I'm traveling through the airport. I just love the flavor profile on this one. It's way better than the 12. And when you're talking about whiskies and looking for that little bit more for that age statement, some whiskies don't do that. This one definitely does sort of tick all the right boxes. So on that note, 91 out of 100, the Balvenie 16, fantastic fruity whiskey, a nice balance of spice and fruits and a little bit of citrus character. A little bit of a sweeter finish over there, but not as sweet as the 12-year-old. So that is my overall review on the Balvenie 16 Triple Cask. Let me know your opinion down below in the comment section. I think my camera's going all over the place right now. So yeah, this has been Jason from WhiskyWise. I'm going to leave a little link over here to my last video, the Balvenie 12 Triple Cask. Also my subscribe button over there. Feel free to subscribe and check out some more of my other videos. But this has been Jason from WhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for the next video.